Good morning, Chef Norbert Gandler.
Hello,
Yeah,
Chef.
good morning, everybody. I'm
Yes,
happy to be here and I'm happy to answer you all the questions you have for the audience.
We're very
yes.
honored to have you.
We're very honored to have you. And for guys watching, good morning. To those watching live and watching on replay, we are awesome live with the legendary Chef Norbert Gandler that a lot of people are raving about here in the Philippines. And we'll talk to him about his story, about his origin story, and throughout the pandemic, what happened and the learnings he can pass on to us. My name is Anton Diaz, founder of Our Awesome Planet, together with the Adobo Queen live, streaming live in Houston, Texas. Nancy Reyes Lumen. We're awesome live with Chef Norbert Gandler.
Norbert
Can
Gandler.
you do a short introduction? Woo! We're so excited. Um, uh, it's a first time hearing about your story. When we started with the industry, we're too young, but we've tasted the food of all the chefs you've trained, and everybody's really good. So it's an honor to know your story. To get started, maybe chef, for those people watching, how did you get started in the Philippines? How did the legendary chef Norbert Gandler started his culinary career?
Well, could I actually maybe first explain to the audience how I actually started my cooking?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Uh, well, first of all, I am from Austria, Salzburg, from a small village with only 800 people at that time
Yeah.
and very small. So in Austria, food, like everywhere, but food is special important. And
Oh,
I learned how to cook first from my mom. Every housewife is a very good cook. In Austria, you don't have a helper who prepares food for you. It's really the mother who usually cooks. These days, everybody cooks. So I somehow got interested in that. And I started cooking with my mom.
mm-hmm.
And there's a funny story. Austrians are very Catholic. I'm also raised as a Catholic. And
Oh,
we used to go to church every Sunday morning. And sometimes in winter it's very cold, like minus 30 degree. So I
Wow.
wasn't really feeling to go to church. So I said to my mom, "Hey, why don't I stay home and I prepare lunch today?" So that was my excuse, right? Uh, so anyway, so I started cooking and baking, and after I decided I want to become a chef.
How old are
Why?
you?
I started with 15. We start that early.
wow.
So we actually went to a program which is for me still the best, apprenticeship. So after high school, you decide if you continue going to school, college, or you go into a profession already, such as a chef, mechanic, electrical, and so on and so on. And you have to do your apprenticeship, which takes 3 years. And these 3 years, you will also have to go to school, either straight for 2 months every year, or you go once a week. In my case, was always 2 months after season. I was going to school. So I decided to be a chef because it was a very popular profession, and of course, being a
At
chef
the
where you
time,
have good
at the
food
time, it's
at the
popular
time was
already.
at that time in Austria, and that was in '77, right? That's how old I am now. '77, I started when I was 15. So, and then I finished my apprenticeship and I really enjoyed it. But here I had a dilemma. I was, when I was still in school, I was very much into sport. I was supposed to be a ski racer. I was one of the best skier in
Wow.
the junior division. So I had actually, after a very bad accident, and I had to make a decision, working or skiing.
Yeah.
But skiing at that time was quite risky because earning money, you have to be really one of the three best in the world. It wasn't easy to make money. So I decided to become a chef. So when I finished, I was, of course, still very much into sport. I missed football, of course, the skiing. I was a football coach, so I had this thinking: what shall I do? Should I quit and do something else? But somehow my passion was still with cooking, so I got this idea: why not trying to work somewhere else, somewhere out in the world? So a friend of mine and myself, we get all our things and let's say, okay, let's go to Hamburg. We will apply on a cruise line. That was something for us.
Cruise line.
Austria has no sea, right? So we had this idea to work on a cruise liner. So we arrived in Hamburg and we started going to all the shipping companies and applied. So they were always quite amazed. Here are two Austrian guys, very innocent, showing us their grades from the school and the certificate from the cooking school. So they said, well, guys, it's not that easy. You come here, do you want a job? But I don't have a job right away. So they said, do you have any contact in Germany? So I said, yeah, I know somebody. So we gave the contact and they say, okay, they would call up if there's something. So 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed. We didn't get any job. I say, oh my God, we cannot go home back to Austria. When we left, they said, look at these two guys. Now they're saying they're going out in the world and then after they will cry home. We say, we cannot do that. We have to go home. When we go home, we have to have a job. So we decided, let's widen our possibilities. Let's apply in the 5-star hotels. And that's what we did. And then we were able to find our first job out of Austria. I found my first job in Intercontinental Frankfurt, and that's where everything started.
Wow.
When I did my apprenticeship, I have to be so thankful to my boss. They really teach me the proper cooking, the proper techniques. I did not work in a place where I saw foie gras, where I saw a lobster and this. No. But they teach me how to do all the cooking method propers. And here I come now to a 5-star hotel where I saw a complete different world. And that's where I really opened my eyes and say, well, I really want that. And from then on, well, I moved on. I moved on to different countries and realized with my profession, I can also see the same time I can see the world. And that's why I did not stop anymore. And at the end, I got stuck in the Philippines. I will tell you after why. I worked in 9 countries. Everywhere I picked something up. I saw the world and I had a great time. So now you ask me how I came to the Philippines?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's another thing I'm a little bit proud of. In the school, we also teach the students how to write an application and how to contact yourself in an interview. But myself, I'm always joking to the students. I don't know how to do that because I never was writing an application. I was always lucky that somebody calls me, somebody recommends me, and that's how I found my jobs. So when I was in one stage, I worked at Hilton, Kuwait, and one day I get a call from a former colleague if I would like to start at the Mandarin. Nancy, you know him, it's Joseph
Yes.
Bayer.
Oh,
And that's how I
yeah.
came to the Philippines. And that's how I came here. And I'm so thankful to the Mandarin. Although I left Mandarin between, but Mandarin was my big start. Why? Mandarin gave us the free hand to do a lot of food promotions. Of course, we wanted to do that. We did so many activities and we really were able to progress. I started there as the fine dining room sous chef. Today you call it sous chef. Not today, at that time. Today you would call them chef de cuisine. So times are changing. Sounds much better, no? I was the deputy sous chef because I was under the executive chef. And the deputy was for me the big start. I made myself a name. Business was very good and I really enjoyed it. I didn't have restrictions what to cook. I really could explore my experience. And what I enjoyed the most is I'm always aware, why am I here? I'm not here to take away a position from a Filipino chef. I'm here to share my experience. And after, now I can say I have so many Filipino chefs who worked with me who are extremely, extremely successful. And that gives you a lot in life. And you can say you did something for your employees. And that was, I mean, I did not just come here to have a good salary. And in fact, I was actually the first, okay, later on, I actually left to open Shangri-La. That was very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a very nice story because I was executive sous chef. Executive sous chef, for those who don't know, is basically the number two position. You are the right assistant chef of the executive chef. And actually, I held the same position in Mandarin also after Tivoli. But anyway, so when I was in Shangri-La, Mandarin Oriental head office called me. He would like me to go back to Mandarin. So I said to myself, well, I'm working now in a very new hotel, nice hotel. Should I really go back to that old hotel? But of course, if you're in a hotel chain, you have always opportunities to transfer. And my position they offered me was executive chef. But the nicest thing on it was, and many chefs were a little bit jealous on that, they offered me, if I come back, that was the head office from Hong Kong. If I go back to Manila Mandarin, before I start, they will send me around the world, and all I had to do is to stay in the best hotels and to
Yeah.
eat in the best restaurants. I mean, that was fantastic. Of course, after 4 and the 5th week, it became a little bit difficult. I also had to pack my suitcase every day, travel from one place to the other place. I went from Asia to Europe, to America, to Australia, and so on. It was fantastic. And of course, where will you get an offer like this? So I took it. And of course, I also know I have some responsibility now. I owe the Mandarin. And that's how it continued. And
Mm.
I stayed in Mandarin 9 years
Well,
as executive chef. I had a lot of opportunities and other offers anywhere in the world with Mandarin and also other chains. But somehow I just enjoyed the Philippines. I mean, I came to the Philippines also maybe to work for 1 year, 2 years, maybe maximum 3 years. But here we are. I'm still here after
28 years.
no 30, 31 or 32 years, right?
wow.
I came here in 89, September 89. I came here. September 27, 89, right?
Wow.
And of course, one of the reasons was that I also got married here. I'm married with my wife Gina, and we have 4 children. And the children are already quite much grown up. The 2 boys are already working in England. My oldest daughter just got married and is working in America. And the youngest is still going to school. She's with her
Are you
teenage.
already a lolo?
No, I'm not. And it doesn't look like they are planning that too fast. I wish. Yeah, so time really passed. I had so many opportunities to go out, but I just like the Philippines. I know why I'm here. And so I decided to stay on. So that's
Nice.
how I started in the Philippines, right?
Al- All right, chef. I have a question. Let's go back to Austrian your origin. So you still I guess Austrian in culinary heritage. So what are the type of food that you were eating there, like sausages, Hungarian goulash, or
Okay.
what's that typical food?
So what are the special food in Austria? Okay, first of all, I mean, obviously, Austria is Western food. It's obviously a
Ah,
mix of Western food, which is also French, Italian. It's a mix of Western food. mean, that's where. But the speciality of Austria would be, for example, the Vienna Schnitzel, right? I'm sure you hear
The
that.
schnitzel.
The Wiener Schnitzel would be, of course, everybody knows Vienna, Wien, the capital of Austria. So that would be one of the goulash, of course, sausages, dumplings. But then food is very similar to Switzerland, Germany. But Vienna Schnitzel or Sachertorte,
Yeah.
or right, or we have the strudel. I'm sure you hear about strudel. That is
Yes.
real Austrian. Austria is also very much known for their warm desserts. Uh, a family would eat during the week. They would eat for lunch. They would not eat meat many times. They would eat, for example, like warm pastries, like pancake. We have this emperor pancake, which is in general served everywhere in the world as a dessert, but we would
Mhm.
eat that as a lunch. We would eat fruit dumpling, which is sweet, made with potato dough, right? So Austria food is, yes, I think it's quite heavy, but it's also changing. Obviously, you have very good ingredients, a lot of fresh ingredients. Everything grows. Where it becomes a little bit more difficult is winter, but even in Europe, you can get in the supermarket, even in winter, you get everything, right? So everything is fresh. We try not to eat much food which is frozen, right? But it's
Nice.
very easy in Europe. You have seen it yourself. You go to supermarkets, it's heaven.
Yep.
That is one thing I miss. When you go in London, when you go in somewhere in Germany, in Austria, or in America, you go to a supermarket, you can spend hours there
Yes.
because only the cheese section is already bigger than the whole supermarket here, right? So these are the little things. We get everything already. I mean, let's face it. When I came here, and Nancy, you know it, we don't even get imported meat. We don't, we get almost nothing. Difficult to get different breads, right? So now you have also, you can get everything in the Philippines. Unfortunately, you have to import a lot. Although I'm not supporting that always. You should always try to use the ingredients and the product you have in the country where you live. But if you really want to have a steak, unfortunately, you really have to get imported meat, right? But as much as
Yes.
possible, you should cook, you should use the product you have in your country. But I really enjoy that in Europe. Name it, vegetable, fruits, meats, ready to cook, already trussed, put into shape, temped, just put it in the oven. Fantastic. But I tell my students many times, you know what? We cook sometimes with a lower quality ingredients or product, but that means if you are able to cook good food with these ingredients, how easy it will be for you and how great will be the food once you use the high-end products, right?
Yes.
You have to see it also from that side, right? So there is a lot of advantages also, and especially when it comes to students.
Yes. So, chef, in terms of Filipino food, you've been in the Philippines for a long time. Is that part of your culinary DNA already? What's your point of view on the Filipino cuisine?
Yeah, the Filipino cuisine actually, I think, becomes more and more popular, even around the world. Is it
Yes.
because everywhere you have so many Filipinos? Yes, that's how it starts, but it looks like it is also accepted by foreigners. See, I'm very honest. For many years and many foreigners, the only challenge is the identity. If you talk about Chinese cuisine, you know exactly what it is. If you talk about Thai, if you talk about Indian, you know exactly what it is. So the Philippine food, you really have to know because it's really a mixture of Western, Spanish, Asian, Mexican. So
Yeah.
it is a little bit more difficult to promote Filipino food because the exact identity is difficult to understand for a foreigner, right? So you will ask now, do we teach Filipino food? Yes, we do start teaching a little bit Filipino food. We have, of course, one of our good instructors, uh, Joey Herrera, Nancy's son, who is good in that. Would I teach Filipino food? No, I don't teach Indian food because I teach what I really know, right? It's not that I don't have a good idea how to cook an adobo and how to cook certain, because certain Filipino dishes, they are very Western anyway, the way you cook it. Yes, we try to teach more and more Filipino food now, but in the school, basically, we are concentrate really on the cooking methods, cooking techniques, right? Sure, we cooking dishes all the time, and you have a certain time limit also. So, as I said, Filipino food is becoming more and more important because it's also more and more in the culinary scene, not only in the Philippines, around the world. When you see, I think there was a problem for a while that Filipino food was only good in real good Filipino restaurants, was only good in home cooking,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it was not exposed especially by five-star hotels.
Yes.
People used to say, yes, they have Filipino food, but that's not really good. Yes, there was also the saying, if I want Filipino food, it's the best at home. I will eat it there. Why would I eat it now in the hotel? But I think now it becomes also in the restaurant a very important part of the menu.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
some,
Any? What's your favorite? You have a favorite? Yeah.
well, my favorite, okay, I like, of course, adobo. I like a lot bulalo, but then again, that's very much Western.
Ganun. Haha. Woo!
I like most of the Filipino food, but really more on the Western flavor. Although when I go around the Philippines, especially with my food charging, we're always invited and we are exposed to special Filipino food, but I don't remember all these names, and I start to like it more and more. For many years, I'm very honest, I was not so much into Filipino food, but I do eat it more, and to all fairness, we are in the Philippines and we should promote Filipino food,
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
that's true.
Yes.
I think you
Uh,
hit it on the mark when you said identity. But I'll take that up on you later. Identity was really very important. We ourselves, we Filipinos, we're so regionalistic that we didn't know how to identify. But now that I'm isolated here in America, I do try to put a direct channel to what Filipino food is. And they're very curious and they understand. But that's later. Thank you very much for that word. I think that's important. Identity.
It is important. It is
Yeah.
important. I think that's the first step to make it more and more popular.
yeah.
Okay.
So next question. No, the Mandarin. Mandarin, you're actually Mandarin team. All the chefs that started there are really good. So maybe can you name some of the original ones that you've trained there?
Oh, wow.
Okay, I will now name the first one, which you know, Mr. Diaz, which you know very well, and that would be Donny Boy Escalante
Yeah.
from Antonios,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Ariel Manuel, former Lolodats,
Yeah.
Humphrey Navarro. Uh,
Yeah.
there are so many, Ernie Barbaran,
Ah,
um, Kenneth
right.
Cacho.
Yeah.
This is the
Wow.
whole gang from Mandarin, and there are so many more. I don't want to mention too many more because it's not nice if I miss somebody out, and I would miss out
But
because
those are the original gang. Okay.
these are the original guns. I have, for example, Boy Temola. You might not know, he's certainly one of the best carmouche in the Philippines. Uh,
Wow.
he, and now what is so nice is many of them are so successful either here in the Philippines or abroad. And one thing which always surprises me, when I was young, I was also a little bit crazy. I'm very
Mhm.
strict. and sometimes maybe a little bit too strict, but I always know how to balance it. If we had a tough service in the evening, so now they are not so happy, so let's go out for a beer and talk about. That's how I balanced everything. And some of them, they might have thought, yeah, I worked with this guy now 2 years, but now it's really enough. And after 1 2 years, they started writing to me, "Oh, chef, thank you very much. I'm so happy that you have been strict with me.
That's
Now I
nice.
understand you because I'm in your position." You know, Mr. Diaz, the 80s, I have to say 90s, the 90s was still a little bit difficult. It was still that the stuff was very much protected. I had the feeling a lot of stuff did not have the right vision to grow. A lot of chefs and other positions, they were not even willing to be promoted because they had difficulties in scolding somebody if they do something wrong. They had difficulty to say to their colleague something is wrong, or they have to issue a memo because they were absent and no reason. And so that was then the reason why all the higher positions were occupied by foreigners, which was not good. And I was the first five-star hotel executive chef who promoted Filipino chefs to a position of executive sous chef and pastry chef. My executive sous chef was the first Filipino was Humphrey Navarro,
Yes.
Wow.
and Ernie Barbaran was the pastry chef
Yes.
with expert status. Because I said to myself, why? They can do the job, so they should get it, right? But the only problem was they had still a little problems to be a manager, right? I remember Humphrey when I went the first time on vacation. He keeps on calling me every day now, say, "Oh, chef, I hope you're soon back," because he had to deal with conflicts, right? But then later on, he was tougher than me, right? So,
Yeah.
and today, the young people, they all have a vision. They want to achieve something, and if you have a vision, you will achieve it, right? Before there was a saying, "Oh, anyway, doesn't matter what I do. High positions will only be for the expert chefs." It's not true. It was also not true at that time. And today, look at it. Today, all the high positions in the restaurants, hotels, most of them are Filipinos. Now
That's correct.
you still have some expert executive chefs. That's not because they are better, because we are sharing experience. A
Yeah.
Filipino goes now works abroad in a high position. He's also sharing experience. So it's not anymore because the Filipino cannot do it. It's just that you have a mixture of experience, right?
Okay.
So,
Now, before we move on, I'd like to acknowledge the people commenting, Chef. So
Yeah.
Nikki says hi, Danica, Arboleda, and of course Monique. Monique, hi, Chef Norbert. You're the best, the legend. I agree with Ernie and Humphrey Navarro. And Chef, one of the things that why we're doing this also is to honor legends such as you. While we can still talk about this, a lot of these stories, and I love the stories. Now, um, one of the things I wanted to ask is the story of Aishkam. But Nancy might have other questions. Or
No, I'm taking so many notes already, and I'm very much inspired.
yeah, and chef, just don't touch the table as much so that it
oh
doesn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually thinking about this.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Yes,
ice
that's of
cam
course.
is very legendary because all the chefs I've encountered that studied in ice cam, the food is really good. So I we wanted to know how did that culinary came about, and it's competing with all the other culinary schools now. So what's the
May I
secret?
add to that, Anton? I think the ISCAM has this certain discipline. There's an ISCAM discipline that is very, very admirable in the students that are there.
And then before you answer, Chef, Dennis Dumlao said, interesting story. Shout out, batch 11A Ashcam. All right. so they're watching. All right, Chef.
All right. So of course, ice cream is, I would say, it's almost the award of hard work. When we opened Makati Shangri-La, that was between Mandarin and then after I was back, I worked with Mr. Hans Schallenberg. Sadly, he's not with us anymore. He passed away 7 years ago. He was the assistant F&B. I was the executive sous chef, and so we worked so close together. He in the service, me in the kitchen. And all of a sudden we said, and then one day we said, you know what? It would be so great to open a school because we saw the hunger of the people to learn, we saw the talent, but there was no official training. Although I have to say now we were not the first culinary school, there was already two. So we said there is so much room for schools, for education. Give the people the opportunity. Give the people the opportunity to learn it from the bottom, from the right side. We have so many good chefs and they know how to cook very well, but maybe sometimes consistency is missing because they don't know the whys. And then, of course, that was a dream of ours. So we decided in Shangri-La already, we will open a school. And it took us actually another 9 years until it became reality. And I don't know why it took us that long, maybe because I really enjoyed so much Mandarin. And yes, then finally we did it, and a dream has become reality, and it's fantastic. I have to say, one thing, of course, is not possible. I had these things in my head. We have to make a master chef out of everybody. Impossible. I mean, end of the day, it always comes down to the student, how he how he's in the school, how interested he is, right? We have so many different characters, and we have, of course, so many students who are very successful already. But you cannot make a master chef out of everybody. It depends on the students. So that's how
And
it
what's
started.
what's the core principle of ICECAM? Why is it different from other culinary schools?
Okay, first of all, our curriculum is put together on a European system. I would rather say on our system. I mentioned before briefly, our objective is to get everybody ready in the kitchen to be successful. It's not only about how much you know and how many dishes you know, but I could show you. I mean, they have more than 500 recipes, and end of the day, they have 3 big folders like that. But what we do is we try to make the school almost like a real kitchen operation. At times, we always cook for the staff. Every student will eat, and at times we also cook for the students in the lecture. So we create more work. So, and then when they go out, they're already workers. I have seen too many alumni when I was still in the hotels, they did not even know how to hold a knife. But don't understand me wrong. I'm not saying that other schools are bad. There's a lot of good schools. But that was maybe the case before. So we really concentrate on the real needs to be ready to step into a kitchen operation. And because we have a lot of experienced professionals, we know what is possible and what is not possible because not everything is like from the book. You need to know what to do when things go wrong. You learn things out of experience. You cannot just learn everything out of the book. The same time, what we do is actually we do 1 week lecture, 1 week hands-on. Sometimes students think, oh, I don't want to have so much lecture. But we try to explain to them how important product knowledge is, how important lectures are, because then it's much more easy to apply in your kitchen. Luckily, our kitchens are big, our schools are big, so we can manage to do like only lecture and only kitchen. We don't want to do, which normally is done, and nothing wrong with that, that we do first 2 hours lecture and then cooking. because we want them 1 week really concentrating on the cooking, and 1 week they really concentrate on the lecture. Now, with all the different teachers, we have different characters. We have teachers, they have different approach, they deal different, and that's already a preparation for them. Kitchens in a restaurant, they can be quite stressful. There's different personalities, and we try
Yeah.
to make them feel. Although we are not in the school, I always tell the teachers they're not allowed to shout at
Mm-hmm.
students, but to a certain extent, we are strict. I had many times parents telling me on the graduation, uh, "Thank you very much. You changed my son." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, he has a much different attitude now. Now, we are not mega strict, but we try to explain to them, in order to be successful in anything in life, and so is in working life, discipline, it starts with discipline, right? And well, we are doing okay. It seems like a lot of students like it. And of course, I think you come to that later with the pandemic. It was not easy, but we are going slowly back to normal.
All right.
So
All right, Chef. Let's go to the photos, but let's acknowledge the people. One
Yeah, there
one
are
thing I noticed
more.
is a lot of students are really proud to be graduating from ISCAM. So Ray J. Santa Isabel, batch 31D, Francis Joshua Palmes Farson, best culinary school in the country, batch 23. Merrick Santos, mabuhay Chef Norbert, and Nino Omerga, watching from Jeddah, batch
Yeah.
11C. Thank you for all the kitchen lessons and training.
actually, maybe I may add on. We have already. I don't tell you now how many, but thousands of students
But
graduated
Chef,
in ICECAM, and
Yeah,
we
when you
do have.
say
Alexis, how many batch do you have now?
yeah, how
Batch
many
34. How
batches
many
are there?
batch?
Yeah, we have three. The first one was Katibunan, then the second one was Cebu, and the last one we opened, but that's also 9 year already, is Pampanga.
Pampanga. Okay. And how
We were
many
actually
batches now?
How
30,
many
30,
batches? What batch is it now?
in Katibunan, we are running now with 1 year course batch 36.
36.
But we run with the short courses like batch 170 and something like that. No? Right. So we do have the 12 months course, professional course. The students, they are not only getting the tester certificates. We also have affiliated with Australia. They get an Australian certificate 3, which
Nice.
is approved by the government. So that's what they get for the big course. And then we have a lot of lifestyle courses, short courses. We have also a 6 months course once a week, which is for the working people who wants to earn a NC2 certificate, but they don't have time. We have that also, and we always have new courses coming up.
Yeah. So, Chef,
And last
I
month,
will
sorry
say,
for the school at the moment.
mhm.
Yes, we do have out of this so many students graduated. We have so many students who are very, very successful here, and so many students are already working abroad and holding positions as high as executive chef. And
Yeah.
that is, of course, what we are doing it for, right? Okay,
there's another one. Alexis Guaves. I love Chef Norbert. Batch 34.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
Wait.
doesn't feel good, Chef. That they're so proud of, and then they feel close to you that they can tell you this and greet you here. That's so nice.
actually, we try to keep up with them, keep in touch with them, but it's so difficult because along the way they change their email
Yeah,
address. But we
yeah.
try to keep an alumni page to be. Um, Somehow we manage, but we unfortunately with a lot of them we get lost. There is, I I would never single out a person and say, wow, that person is now here. But just since it happened last week, all of a sudden, we got the message. One of our students, Leslie, She is the executive sous chef of Gordon Ramsay in Singapore. So of course these are things which are sticking in your mind right away. You know, Gordon Ramsay, most probably, of course, he's not really working there, but it's his restaurant, the
Wow.
most tough chef in the world. And so we have many other students. So we would really need a lot of time to talk about every
Yeah,
student.
yeah.
Just mentioned it because we just found out last week.
Okay. Chef, let's go to the photos. I know you don't have a lot of photos, but all of them are interesting. So maybe you can
Really.
share us a story.
Well,
Good
I found
looking. You're so good looking.
I
Wow.
found one of the picture when I guess I was about 6, 7. I'm not sure. Yeah, I have to mention that now. When I was a child, I lived in a village, 800 people, kind of, well, you could almost say conservative. Nobody had a camera. It was only in my family. My family is big. And my mother's side, 10 children, and my father's side, 12 children. So many relatives. There was one person who had a camera, who is one of my cousin, and he's actually a priest. He's the one who had a camera. So whenever we had a picture, it was him who take it on Christmas or somewhere. So anyway, this is one of the few. Then what else do we have? Well, is of course the picture of my present family. It's a couple of years ago. My wife, the 2 sons, and the 2 daughters.
Did
The
you
only
get
one who
Gina
is
to Did you get Gina to learn how to ski?
no, she didn't want, but
Oh,
the children did.
The
And now
oh,
kids.
all of a
good.
sudden, because we are getting older, all of a sudden she says, "Oh, I should be skiing." I say, "So why don't we do it now? There's nothing too late." So
Yeah.
all of my children are no, the three are out of the country, and the one in the middle, she is still in the school in Ateneo because she is so crazy about football, volleyball. She's in the Ateneo team in volleyball.
Wow. A Gandler in the volleyball team. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was in Austria. I'm in front of my parents' house. Right?
Mm.
Nice. So who's
So
into culinary from your kids?
uh,
Most of them.
nobody, nobody.
Nobody?
They just want to eat well. My sons always told me, Dad, well, what they said that, I see you're going to work so early, coming home late. I rather eat good food. I don't want to be a chef. But I want to add something now to that for those who want to become chefs. It has also changed a lot. When I started working, it was really hell, like Hell's Kitchen. And not only the way we were treated, also the way we had to work. I remember on my first day, my boss said to me, "Come here. When somebody comes from the Department of Labor, you will tell them you are every week 2 days off, you will never work after 10 o'clock, and so on and so on." Of course, we are scared. That's what we do. The fact was, I started working because it was seasonal, summer and winter season. I started working on the first week of July, and my first day off was in October. I
Wow.
that is all over. Today,
Okay.
I never supported when chefs have to work so much overtime, but we had just no choice many times. I always say, cannot be. You want to keep up good standards? Give also the people who work in the hotel restaurant industry a regular working time. They have to have the same life, otherwise you will not
Good.
find stuff anymore. And I was always running almost on the wall many times with some old chefs about this because they are used to. I say, the young people are not anymore like you. They need a regular life to perform, and that was always my. I was, as much as I was very tough, but I was always thinking about their well-being. Definitely, I could be crazy sometimes during service. Maybe sometimes somebody cried, but I do understand how to solve that. And I always understood how they feel and how it should be. Right? All right.
All right. Nice. Nice story.
We got a little bit carried away.
That's what Christina Tatum Malonzo said. That's our chef. Wow.
This was one of the graduation picture. No,
Wow. Where was this?
uh, can we read it? My eyes are not so good anymore. I must be the date. I'm not sure now.
Yeah, ice camp.
This must be 6, 7 years ago or 8 years ago. We just choose one day. We didn't have any in the computer. We just took a picture from the actual
Yeah.
photograph.
Chef, Monique was saying, totally, that's why you are the best. And she wants to enroll. Actually, if I were to enroll in a culinary school also, Ashcam is actually the
Me
best
too.
advantage.
Me too.
Well, actually, Monique, she was a restaurant manager in one of the restaurant in Mandarin, and then she was working quite a few years on cruise liners, and now she has a very nice bake shop. I always
Yeah.
can see her cakes online, right?
Yeah.
So she changed from quite a change, but nice.
But
Uh,
Okay. Any
all right.
more photos? Wow.
Woohoo! What's the
Woo!
story? What's the story, chef?
Anton, can you bring that
what's the
closer?
story? What's the story? I mean, the normal thing. My wife, Gina Signora, she was a classmate of Humphrey. And one day when she worked at the pavilion. And then one day, Humphrey introduced her to me, and that's how it started. And it ended up that we're already 28 years married. We still
Wow.
survive. Yeah. All right. So that's the whole story.
How
uh,
did you make legal?
yeah. How does the
How did
Austrian
you make
make
legal?
legal?
Ligao,
Yeah.
you have to explain now.
How did you court her? The courtship.
How
Is
did
it
I call?
Filipino style?
What's the Filipino style?
You have to cut wood for the oven and bring water from the well to the
Really?
you have to do everything for the mother-in-law. That's a joke though.
Well, the mother-in-law I only made, of course, when I proposed, right? I didn't see the mother. No, no, that's not true. Before already. No, I mean, I don't know. We just went out, and one day I met them, and I remember when I proposed, it was very easy for me because her father was asking first. So I understand you want to get married to my daughter. So that was very easy for me. So very, very nice and casual, right? So unfortunately, my parents and her parents are not with us anymore.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Robert, we'll just acknowledge the people commenting. Batch 17, best choice I made. Bong Valdez said he saw you Liga was Filipino style. I witnessed all of that.
Oh.
Oh,
Uh,
Daniel as well. Yeah.
Bong Valdez, he was with me in Mandarin, and he has a very nice story in his life, and he's one of my best friend. He was able to work in head office even, and retired now. A really great, great guy. I cannot say more because it would take us 2 days.
Alright. And last photo, chef.
Yeah, that was one of the photo in Mandarin. Nothing in particular. I just choose it because I didn't have too many, but I just wanted to show you one when I was still looking kind of
Yeah.
young. Right?
Yeah.
And then we have Humphrey Navarro. I think
Humphrey.
you know Humphrey, right?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, of course.
Yes.
We missed him. Yeah.
And is
Okay.
that Ariel with the lots of hair, the black
And
hair?
Ariel, of course,
That's
Ariel is
Ariel.
there. And Arnold, all these guys who are on this picture, they are very successful.
Yes.
Tony Boy is not here, no? The
Nah, Tony Boy was not there. He came later. He was 2 years with us in Mandarin, and actually also his executive chef, Ricky Season, he was
ah,
also in that group in Tivoli.
in Tivoli. Nice.
Yeah,
Right?
you look like an actor. I can't name him now. I think William Hurt or no.
Yeah,
William
yeah.
Neeson, William Neeson. Or, you're very guapo, chef, huh? You were a good catch. That's why, I'm sure the women I tried to introduce to you, they said,
You did. Yeah,
anyway,
you try to match me.
yeah, yeah. But Gina is the best.
Gee. All right, chef. As
Pandemic,
we Yeah,
pandemic.
let's talk about the pandemic. What did you learn during the pandemic? How did you guys pivoted and generally learnings on the pandemic as we are getting out of it? Maybe we
Okay.
can reflect on that and share with people.
Well, first of all, when the pandemic started, in the very beginning, of course, we didn't know how long it will last, and it has been very, very frustrating because, to be honest, there was a time we were not sure if we still can survive that because we still had to pay, of course, rent for all three schools, and obviously the staff needed money. We tried as much as possible pay salaries to help them, even during time when we didn't have to. And somehow, after we, well, because of online, okay, you don't learn how to cook online, but we applied for the blended learning. So at least we were able to start online lecture classes. And this was the big advantage for our school now, because we have quite a big portion lectures. So what we did is we will just do first all the lectures. And then in 2021, we were able to go back face to face. So
Ah,
somehow this blended learning was really helping us. I must say now, if this would be acceptable to students, I would like to carry on. I'm not saying we will this blended learning because when we teach lecture online, it's exactly the same like we would do it in classroom. You know,
yes.
I personally I was never used to do online meetings, and now we discovered, oh my God, with you know Zoom or with whatever program you use. Or now it's fantastic. So that's actually so that worked very well. That helped us a lot. Now I think what we all learn is, and what we all should learn is, appreciate the good time because it can also be difficult, and we all experienced it. And it was not easy. I can tell you, I had a lot of sleepless nights where we didn't know anymore what's going to happen. But it looks like everything is going to be okay again, and we move on now. And I think, yeah, we learned out of it. What we learn most is that we should appreciate in life what we have, because it couldn't be much. It couldn't be very bad. It can be very bad. Look at now. Pandemic is over almost, hopefully, and now is this story with Russia. I mean, when you watch TV, how people suffer, then we can all say we are still very lucky, right?
Yeah.
And if we work hard, I think everything will be okay. Are we out of the woods now? I think so. But it's still by far not the same what it was 2 years ago, right? But we are going there.
Okay. Now, chef. Yeah. In terms of curriculum, though, did you have to include like making food for delivery and packaging and stuff, or is that not part of the um, things impacted by the pandemic in terms of curriculum?
No, you mean you talk about the school?
Yes, yes. I mean delivery food. The
Teaching them.
culinary teaching them.
Nah,
Yeah. Is there any
we
difference and
did.
stuff?
Nah, we didn't do that with the school, right? So we just did first our lecture online, and because the thing is, it would have been very difficult also to have all the students here to do that because there was also a very limited number of students allowed to be in the
Okay.
school. So no, we were not into. We did not do delivery, but later I was asking myself, maybe that's something we could have done. That's something which has been taking on pretty well, and I think it has been taking on, and maybe will remain. Many people maybe discovered that it's nice to have food delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Even they are now craving to go back, but I think it will. some caterer will still be successful with that. But we did not do that with the school.
Okay. Right. And Nancy, do you have a question?
Yeah. What's your bucket list?
My what?
And also the 3 criteria you would want to give as advice to somebody who would like to join the competitions, celebrity
Competition.
competitions, the
Okay,
usual.
we didn't talk about competition yet.
Yeah.
Well, what's my advice? I mean, practice, practice, practice. Follow rules and have the right people who are tasting your food you practice. Of course, many times competitions, there are rules in the rule book, and to 50% the rules are not followed. You have to practice that dish, what you do, as often as possible and get the right feedback, and then you will be successful. But in general, even if you don't win, you're not a loser. This is all experience.
That's good to know.
I think, and we almost forgot, good that you mentioned it. I was one of the most crazy person about competition. And that started in Mandarin. Because I took it as a reward to my staff for the hard work. We have been basically cleaning out competitions in Mandarin for 9, 10 years straight. Sometimes I failed already bad. But how did it start? First, because competitions have different categories. You have the display competitions and you have the live. At that time, it was mainly display, so I was able to help them. At the beginning, I had to help them a lot. I would even make it for them and they present it. As we go on, they became so strong, and Mandarin for a while became unbeatable. And they called us, the Mandarin works like a military operation because we were organized very well. From the preparing to the transportation. In fact, Monique, who was commenting before, they were helping in transportation, each entry, one box, the entry number, everything. When we go to the World Trade Center, somebody is waiting, brings it to the table. It was fantastic. So it was, at the end of the day, they won, and they were so happy, and that was the reward of hard work. But don't overrate competitions. Competitions should be still fun,
Yep.
and you learn out of it. And don't say when you don't win, it's the judge's fault. It's very difficult for judges also. That happens usually. The judge was wrong, doesn't understand. Right? Now, quickly talking about competition students. I'm a little bit, we do every year our competition in the school, which is in connection with Australia. So they can experience that, but we connected with the final. I have no problem with culinary competitions students, but the problem is if you join and you train them for something very high end, you can train them. And then they get gold medals already. And then sometimes they might feel, I'm already a big chef. Winning medals doesn't mean you're already a complete chef. You're a
Yes.
complete chef when you have experience. Me personally, a culinary competition for students would be different. It would have different categories, which is based for students, right? Product knowledge and certain things, life skill, what is actually fit the suit. Because what I said, we have done it. We have trained students who can beat professionals. But are they better than the professionals? No, of course not yet, because you don't have the experience yet. But if somebody really is so interested in doing it, why not? Never force anybody to do a competition. If you like it, and if you don't win, take it as an experience.
Okay. That's good
All
to know.
right.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have
And
that's Christina Tatum said, even if you don't win, you're not a loser. I think those are your very words. Yeah.
right.
Wisdom also said.
Actually, I also, since I said I was this crazy guy about competition, I was actually helping the very first national team, Philippine national team. But at that time, I was not an official member.
Mm-hmm.
I started in Mandarin, and the executive chef was in charge, with, amongst other chefs from the Philippines, and I have been helping them to prepare. And then later on, I forgot now how many years, I was quite a few years uh, national team manager, Philippine culinary national team manager. We went quite often to Singapore. And we went with the Philippine team with LDP, I think about 5 years ago, I forgot now. And we were able to win overall champion.
Nice.
And that was again with a lot of the best chefs we can find here. One of it was also Cacho. And
Yeah.
so we, Philippines, why do I mention the Philippine team now? Not because of me. It's because when we went to Singapore first, they would see the Philippines as the underdog. Ah, it's the Philippines. It's no good. Food is no good. It's not happening anymore. When the Philippine national team competes now outside, they will be respected in a
Yes.
way that they know the Philippines can also beat anybody.
Amen.
Doesn't have to be all the time because they're all good. But this is the achievement of the Philippines now, right? So it's not anymore that the Philippines will be seen as the underdog. And
Okay.
so I think has changed the food scene in general. I
Yes.
when I came to the Philippines, a lot of foreign chefs said to me, "Why? Why are you going to the Philippines? That's your end of your career." I said, "What are you saying? You cook with water also in Singapore, you cook with water in Hong Kong. It depends what I will make out of it." Right?
Correct.
That was the attitude. Don't if you go to the Philippines, you will not get good offers anymore. No, it did not happen. I had more offers than ever to work in other countries
Ah,
because we achieved something. And so the Philippines has changed. I think we still have a small obstacle that the access of enough high-end local ingredients. This is still a kind of difficult. I always take a simple ingredient. That's a tomato. A
uh-huh.
tomato in Italy, in Austria, in Germany, in America, you will eat like an apple, either with some sugar or salt. It's fantastic, right? You
Yeah.
cannot really find these things here, right? That's
Yeah.
the only where we really have a little bit of challenge up to now.
Okay. Maybe
All
you
right.
can tie it up with agriculture. Like Tony Boy has planted
Of
his
course.
own herbs.
I wish that all this beautiful land around around
Yeah.
the Philippines, which is not used, would be turned into agriculture, and it would be so successful.
Yeah.
You would not only supply the Philippines, you would even export.
All right.
You have
So
you have you have the potential.
yeah, Nagatani says hi, chef. Nagatani Rachel, hi, chef Norbert. So just to end, chef, any bucket list or what do you want to accomplish in after all this pandemic is over? What's
What
in your bucket list? Yeah.
what I want to accomplish still, yeah. Huh. Well, I hope
To
we can.
win the Winter Olympics. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I only hope that all of us go back to the normal and we will be as successful as before and hopefully even more. And from our side, of course, I hope um, that our school will be continuously successful. And since I'm here online, so hopefully our alumni and friends and people will support us continuously. And what more can we ask for? We can
Yeah.
ask for good health and a happy life, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Uh
So
what
I don't have, I could not say now, I have in my pocket, now I have to go to the Olympics for culinary and this. Maybe this is not time for the younger generation. My
yeah.
time is now to teach and to share and to advise, right?
Yes. And Nagatani Rachel said, thank you so much for mentoring my baby sister, Chef Hannah Buenafed.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh, all right, Nancy, galing.
Yeah, Chef Robert. Now, I
It's
want to
really
say something. If
go.
there's one thing that you may, I suggest you put in your bucket list because you've already established a Gandler kind of ice cam Gandler kind of discipline that we see it already in the students, the way the way they address themselves as a culinarian. Maybe you should start writing a book. You should do your book.
Actually, we said that many times. I mean, all the stories we have from our
Yeah.
hotels and school. And actually, Mr. Diaz, you have been eating in one of my restaurants in Aubergine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sometimes very sad that we gave it up. The
Yes.
problem, the
Why?
problem, the problem was I was getting too tired. School was my priority. Getting up at 4:30 in the morning, go to school, teach, going to the restaurant, go home 1 o'clock. I couldn't do it anymore. School for me is up to now. I'm still teaching every day myself. I know people don't believe that, but
Uh-huh.
you can ask the students. And this is what it is now. Still, I'm sad that we somehow let loose of aubergine, but
Yeah.
we had a good time with that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. One
and
of the
You
best.
can. We want to see your book.
you want to see what?
Your book. The
My
book.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe,
I
maybe,
know. I know it will happen.
really.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
let's see.
Thank you. Thank you. Any final message, chef, to the to the young culinary people entering in the industry? Just to close our conversation.
Yeah, so yes, my message would be if you really want to be a chef, you really must be sure that you like that. You will not always know it right away. Uh, like in any profession, if you are not convinced that this is what you want, if you want to be a chef, you have to be patient. It's rather hard work, but it's interesting. It's very fulfilling. As I mentioned briefly before, you could even take the opportunity to see the world with this profession. Same time, you can establish your business. So if you are committed and if food is your passion, why not? I mean, Philippines is now on the map when it comes to chefs.
Yes.
I sorry that I go back to my starting here, and that was in '89. In '89, I would say being a chef was nothing so recognized yet. 90% of the today's students, they would not even have been allowed to be in the kitchen, and that has changed so much. A status of a chef in the Philippines is now very high. It's the same like it was already the 70s in our countries. And that's why, if you're really into that, do it and you will be successful. But do not believe that you go to a culinary school and now you're already a super chef. That comes, that comes with experience. Many times I'm asked, Sir, what's my son's position after he graduates? I say, Mom, he's going to be a commis, which is the lowest position. You don't earn a position, you don't buy a position, you earn a position. You earn your position with hard work and experience. And that's something you have to put in your mind. It doesn't help you. You say, I go to Europe to a culinary school or America, and then you come back and you say, I'm an executive chef. It's not working that way. Because even the little cook will tell you what to do. You need to get experience, and then you will get your position. And that's one of the very big advice. To know you don't buy a position, you earn it. Right. So anyway, I wish all of you luck out there, and I hope a lot of you are deciding to become chefs. And I also like to thank all the followers and all our alumni, and we are very proud of you. And I wish all of you a lot of success and all the best.
Why don't you welcome them to IceCam? There might still be some viewers who are interested and who might, now they're inspired to go to IceCam.
Yeah, as I mentioned already, you have heard a lot about IceCam now. I would like to invite you to come to IceCam and take up one of the course. You can find out about IceCam during our open house. These days we do the open house online, which is also something we found out is very convenient. So you don't have to come here. We will show you through videos all our facilities, and all our teachers are joining. So I hope that in the near future we will have the pleasure to welcome you in one of our open house, and then
When is the next batch, chef?
hopefully we can see you in one of our future batch. Our next batch coming up is batch 37 in Katipunan, and we have, of course, also, as I mentioned, a school in Pampanga and Cebu.
Yeah, when does it start? July?
We have two intakes. One is February, and now we moved the second one to end of August, because
End of
the whole schooling is moving now. Before it was July, but since the schooling calendar in general is moving, so we try to be in the same line. Otherwise, if high schools, colleges finish only in July, they might have very little break between. And so we adjusted it.
So Marco said, very inspiring, chef. Thank you. Christina Tatum Malonzo said, batch PCA 36 QC represent. And we'll end with this quote, with this comment. Thank you, chef, from Monique, for loving the Philippines the way you do. You're a gift that keeps on giving. Mabuhay ka. Maraming salamat. It's been an honor. Thank you, chef.
Okay.
It's been an honor getting to know the legend, and a lot of people watching this stream. Please like and share this to people who know Chef Norbert, and to all the young, inspiring chefs who wanted to get into that industry. Maraming salamat.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Diaz and Nancy. It was really a pleasure to be with you, and I hope some people found it interesting and are inspired. Thank you.
You are awesome.
You are awesome.
Thank you very much.
All right, live an
Right.
awesome life,
Thank
chef.
you.
And of course, God is very good. Can you do a short?